Hi, everybody. Thank you, Julia, for the introduction. It's great to be with everybody here tonight. Yes, I do work in our career studio, which is located in the Gengris Student Union. I lead a wonderful team of career professionals who help our students kind of decide how they want to navigate their postgraduate goals, dreams, and ideas. And we do that in conjunction with employers and alumni and faculty and staff, and we create some dynamic and robust programming. And so it's really my pleasure that I get to interface with our alumni often, because they're just such a wonderful source of knowledge about how they navigated their time at the University of Hartford and then how they got where they are now. So it's wonderful to be with all of them tonight, and I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves, share a little bit about what they studied, what they're doing now, and either a fun fact about themselves or their favorite place on campus when they were a student. And we are going to start with Jay Baker.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jay Baker. I was an economics and finance major at the Barney School of Business at UHart. I'm now working as a process engineer at Travelers in their claim organization. And I think my favorite place on campus might have been Hawk's Nest.
I think there's some competition for you with that one. All right, Karishma.
Hi, I'm Karishma Pinto. I graduated with the class of 2017. I was a communications major with an emphasis in advertising and public relations and a double minor in marketing and graphic design. And then I also have my master's. I did the accelerated graduate program, so I have a master's in communications as well. I currently work for Leadership Greater Hartford. I'm their marketing and communications coordinator and race equity lead. And fun fact, my Facebook memories told me today that 8 years ago today, I committed to the University of Hartford. So what a little coincidence there.
Lucky us. Gabby.
Hello, I'm Gabby. I was the class of 2016. I graduated with a bachelor's of science, more health science, the pre-physical therapy program for anyone that is planning on doing that. And then I went straight through into the doctoral program, and I got my doctorate in 2019 of physical therapy. I am now a physical therapist. I work for Hartford Healthcare, and I guess my favorite place was Hawk Hall, because that's where it all began. I was in the leadership floor. I actually met one of the people that are in this chat, so that was really cool. So it was a good beginning of my whole journey in Hartford. So,
Thanks, Gabby. Juliana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Juliana Cruz. I graduated from UHart twice. The first time was from the Hart School of Music. Music management and jazz voice was my instrument. And then I came back and I got my MBA recently in 2019 from the Barney School of Business, which is great. I'm from Stratford, Connecticut. I now work for Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. I'm the senior public relations specialist. And fun fact, I never toured UHart before committing. I got into the music school and I knew that's where I had to be. And so I ended up at the Hart School.
That's great. That's some faith right there.
It is.
Right? Nicole.
Hi, everyone. I am Nicole Pielli. I am a 2012 graduate of the College of Arts and Sciences, majored in politics and government. And as some of you might guess, and as most of us end up doing, I ended up going to law school. I'm now general counsel for a financial tech company in Piscataway, New Jersey. Fun fact, I very proudly sit on the alumni board of directors, which any of you can join upon becoming an alumni.
Great. Wissam.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wissam. I graduated in 2018 with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And right now I'm currently a mechanical engineer at Northrop Grumman in the DC area. And I would say my favorite place is also Hawk Hall, just because I spent 3 out of my 4 years there, first freshman year, and then I was an RA in the global engagement RLC for my last couple of years, which was pretty fun. And it's one of the newer buildings, so I really liked it.
Great. Thank you so much. I think I got everybody. Did I get everyone? Anyone? Okay, I think I got everybody. And for those of you on here on the event who don't know what Hawk's Nest is, it's a place where you get a great greasy cheeseburger. Is that what it was back then? At least that's what it is now. Does that work? Yeah, still the same? Okay, terrific. So as a person who thinks about careers, I would like to hear a little bit about an event or an experience or a class that each of you took that you feel really contributed and is playing a role in your career right now, where it really helped you to kind of stretch yourself, or whether you think you might have gotten a job because of an experience or a class that you took at the University of Hartford. Who'd like to take on that question for us?
I'll go.
I could answer that.
Great.
Yeah, so my first internship, I got it from going to an Acoustical Society of America event where the president of this architectural firm came on campus to speak. And I decided to take the initiative. I dressed up and I brought a resume, and my friends, thought I probably looked ridiculous. And I just went up to him after the event, gave him my resume, got his card, and got the internship that way. So that was pretty much purely connection circumstance, but yeah, that was a great event that gave me my first internship, which, hopefully apply to others and get more.
Sam, you're now my favorite person in the world because you just took some initiative and really went after it. And it sounds like you had more than a few experiences, which I think is really important. We do hear about a lot of people who, the more experiences they have, the more opportunities they have to really hone in on what they want to do and find a really strong connection. Anyone else want to speak to an experience or a class you had that you really think informed your success post-graduation?
Yeah, I would say that a class in particular that was extremely helpful was Dr. Lillian Kamal's intermediate macroeconomic analysis class. It was a pretty, high-level economics course, and I will never forget, it is etched into my memory, leaving that class every Tuesday night. It was 2.5 hours, and my brain would literally be throbbing, just all the information that she could pack in that time period. But it was easily the best class that I ever had while I was there at UHart. I learned a ton, and that's definitely prepared me for today in my career, where I leave many meetings with my head throbbing and need to step away and figure out where to go next. So definitely great preparation there by Dr. Kamal.
Jay, quick follow-up for you. So tell me, it doesn't sound as though your work might be economics driven, or maybe not exactly what you thought you might be doing upon graduation, but can you share with me how you feel as though your Barney education, helped you in a career at Travelers? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, my career now, you really never know what you're going to get or where you need to go. So I'm a process engineer, and I know that doesn't really mean anything to anyone. So ultimately, to break it down, what I really do is try to find ways for people to more efficiently and effectively do the job that they're performing. So, looking at what steps it actually takes to get their, task done, and saying, okay, well, maybe you could do this better. Maybe there's a little bit too many steps here, and we can actually shorten, skinny this down some, whatever the case may be. And, Barney certainly just keeps you on your toes and thinking about, in an innovative fashion here, what's going to happen tomorrow, and not just what's happening today and what's happened in the past, but always having that forward-looking aspect. So I think that was definitely very helpful.
So we heard about someone who had an internship. We heard about someone who had a really great class they've been able to carry forward with them. Who had some great experiences in clubs or SGA or organizations? Karishma.
So I just think I can't think of one moment, but just collectively, I was involved in a bunch of different clubs. And then I was a graphic design minor. And so I was really interested in art, and I didn't take many classes in graphic design, but it was something I was interested in maybe pursuing down the line. So in my clubs, I was able to kind of be that little marketing and communications person, creating flyers, helping out with all of that. And I think that really did make a huge difference in terms of experience, because my first job out of school was a full-time graphic design position, even though I was a communications major. doing advertising and PR. So I think that really helped me to kind of become more comfortable with like having my work critiqued and just getting that design experience in. And again, I was just in a club, it was just for fun. So yeah.
We often find that the things that you're really truly interested in, you spend a lot of time on, and you end up with a lot of product, so to speak, or at least a lot of experiences that you can speak to during the interview process, whether that's for an internship or a job. Anyone else want to speak to a specific experience that you feel has really informed and been helpful in your career? Nicole?
Sure. There were a couple, so I'm going to try and highlight the ones that were most important to me. There was a club called the Roosevelt Institute at the time, and it was a student policy think tank. And you could write out these white papers of different legislation you wanted to see happen. So back in 2009 into 2010, yeah, unfortunately, we had an alumni that was murdered as a result of domestic violence. And at the time, I was the president of this think tank on campus, and we had our own chapter. It was part of a national network. And we ended up using, our time and our resources and our energy. We had some professors that were helping us in the effort, and we passed legislation in Connecticut to put tracking devices on GPS, to put GPS tracking devices on domestic violence offenders to prevent things like what happened to this alumni. Her name was Tiana Noda. She's a 2007 grad, and she was doing her master's at the time. And it's worked. It's saved the lives of, hundreds of women in the state of Connecticut. It started off as a pilot program. It was very successful. And due in part to our efforts as students, I think I was a sophomore in school at the time. I was 19 years old. I had all of these politicians locally come in and get involved, including then General Attorney Blumenthal came in, and it was amazing. It was that moment that you realize, holy crap, I can do something huge, and my university will support me in doing it, and look at this impact we can make. That was major for me.
I had not heard that story before. That's phenomenal. I knew we had close to 200 different clubs and organizations, and rarely a day goes by when I don't hear about something really cool, impactful, or fun, or really creative. So thank you for sharing that story. I know right now we have a club on campus that's building a race car. and so there's engineers but it's also a lot of, if I'm not mistaken, there's some marketing people, because they're all trying to go to a big race. So they're raising money. It's a really cool thing. And I do think that's really great about a small campus like ours, is people can come together and really get something done and make change in your example, Nicole. Congratulations on that. Any other examples of how a class, an internship, or perhaps an experience really helped you hone in on your career? All right. Let's move on to majors. So I want to know, quick raise of hands, how many of you knew exactly what you wanted to do and then went ahead and did it? Are you doing exactly what you wanted to do? How many of you changed majors or were undecided and weren't quite sure? Juliana, would you share a little bit about your experience about being a little unsure and undecided?
Yeah, I think that when I was in my undergrad, so I went to the music school for music management, jazz voice, and it was I had previously gone to a Catholic high school, so I didn't really get the opportunity to explore a lot of things or do different electives. So while I didn't technically change my major while there, I did have a lot of, is this what I really want to do? Or, might I, do I want to try something else, as I was starting to do all of these extracurricular activities and taking classes outside of the music realm. I knew that I loved business innately ever since I was a kid. So I had a lot of questions of, do I want to do marketing? What do I really want to do? But my biggest advice to anyone going into further their education is to be open-minded, because you never know what you're going to explore, what you're going to stumble upon. And don't panic if you don't know what you want to do, because you're not supposed to know until you try things you don't know. I still don't know. And, that's just a part of life. You're constantly evolving. So I would say definitely stay open-minded and try a lot of different things, because you never know.
I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of people feel a bit embarrassed by their uncertainty, and I don't think it's anything to be embarrassed by at all. And we in the Career Studio want to be there for people to help and explore. So we often have sessions like this where alums come in, or industry experts, and talk about the various different kinds of degrees you can have to have a career in that area. So the Career Studio is a place where it's not just we can help you if you know what you want to do. It's also a place to explore. And we usually start with an assessment of skills and interests, because like we heard, Nicole was passionate about something and it turned into a club and experience, which turned into an advocacy and social action, and turned into then a career in law. So the Career Studio is always there for anybody. And we hope you will visit and see what's there. Hopefully you'll see another one of these alums there telling their story. Anyone else?
Yeah, so I came in undecided. In high school, I really thought that I wanted to be a doctor. I watched a lot of House, so that was what I was set on. And then I didn't do so well in AP Bio, so I was like, maybe I shouldn't. So I ended up going undecided in the College of Arts and Sciences. And what was really great about that was that we had these, I don't know if that's still a thing, but we had these freshman dialogue classes. So I got to meet with my advisor, and then my class was a bunch of other undecided students. So it was kind of nice to see that I wasn't alone in that. And then we were, given the option to take some of our general education courses. So I remember taking like a class on multi-resistant bacteria. See, I don't even know. That's why I can't be a doctor. It was some kind of science seminar. And then I took a intro to communications class, which I believe is just a gen ed requirement. And we started learning about, different forms of communication and visual communication and advertising and public relations. And I was like, hey, like, that's kind of cool. I think I want to do that. And then my parents really wanted me to do marketing in the business school. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. I'm not very good at math either. So I ended up declaring, I think I was the last person in my dialogue class. Like my advisor literally said, like, you need to declare a major. You're almost like done with sophomore year. Because I was just having such a ball, like taking all these classes, exploring what I really wanted to do. And then I ended up being able to study like 4 different things, which really speaks to the University of Hartford too. Like, even if you are interested in a few different things and you're still unsure, like, or you want to combine certain things, you can do that. Again, I studied advertising and public relations, and then I was a double minor in marketing in the business school, and then in the art school with graphic design. So it was cool to go from like not knowing what I wanted to do to then like studying all these different things, and having that flexibility. And I believe it's even easier now to kind of do like a cross school study. Back then, like I had to go to each dean and ask for permission, but even then it was still super easy. Everybody was really accommodating. So it was nice kind of finding my way at UHart.
It's nice to hear that it wasn't a struggle for you. That's good to hear. How about extracurriculars? Can anyone speak to how you might have spent your time outside of class, and what that might have meant for you while you were living on campus, and what it might mean to you now as an alum? I know some of you are RAs, so someone better talk about being an RA. Nicole.
Yes, I was an RA. So being an RA was really neat in the sense that you made your own programs every month. In fact, you were required to make at least one program every month. I've seen a lot of questions in the Q&A about dorm life and whether you can stay on a dorm and whether you can stay in a dorm with a scholarship. That's another perk to being an RA. And that was one of the reasons, honestly, that I did it, is that it was free room and board and you got your own room. But you also got a lot of creative license and a lot of budgeting support in making your own programs for your residents, the people that you were primarily responsible for, either in your complex or on your floor, or what have you. And so for me, being able to do things both on and off campus, one program, I arranged for everyone on my floor to go ice skating. and get to know each other, on the ice. And some people really couldn't skate, so it was really funny. Other programs where I would take a poll, a couple weeks beforehand and figure out what people wanted to do. And there was a sex education program that I did called Love, Sex, and Magic. And it was based on a song that was out by Ciara and Justin Timberlake. Wow, I'm feeling old. But there was a song called Love and Sex and Magic. And I brought a magician who came in and did all sorts of magic tricks while we talked about different items, for sex ed. And I made it fun. So having the ability to do that, the opportunity to do that, getting to know, other students that were your peers and, would cooperate and would participate and jump in, having an open door where people could just walk into your room and open your fridge and have a snack or whatever it was. That was huge. Yeah, that friendship was huge. It was a crucial part of the experience. And you can do that just about any time. It was that creativity was there. And again, the university, pretty much the sky was the limit. They would support you in just about anything within reason, but just about anything. You could do trips. You could do, can have people paint things. You could do crafts. You could do whatever it is you wanted to do that's centered around, your people, your little network, your group. And you took care of others. It was fun.
That was great. Sounds like your floor had a blast.
Yeah, we tried.
Any other particular extracurricular activities that any of you want to speak to?
I can go.
Yeah.
I was overly involved. It was actually really nice because being in health science, I was like, oh, great, I'm not going to have a life in college. But actually, it was complete opposite. I was able to put studies first and actually have a life outside of studies too. For example, I was in student government. I was an orientation leader. They're called Red Caps. If you guys get to go here, you'll get to meet those very happy people. They're very friendly, so don't be afraid of them. I was also in Greek life. I got that opportunity. I was in the Women's Advancement Initiative. That was really cool. It was just a bunch of women that we all got together. My year was the first year they actually started it. So it was really cool seeing how it developed, and now it's a really big program and a lot of women get a lot out of it, especially if you want an internship or anything like that. Oh my God, what else was I involved in? It was just a great experience, all the extracurriculars, because not only you don't have to feel like college is just about studying, you can actually have a life besides that. And even to this day, I keep in touch with a good amount of my friends. Like, for example, Krishma's right over there. She was one of my friends in college. So it's just really nice just getting to know people, having connections and everything.
Great. I'm glad you brought up the Women's Advancement Initiative and the LEAD program. You can find more details about that on our website, but it's a carryover from one of our 3 founding schools, which was the Hartford College for Women. So a group of very dedicated alums who want to make sure that women in particular have a voice, hear from other women in professional spaces. And it's a really terrific program. I encourage you to take a look at that on our website, hartford.edu. Anyone else want to add more about extracurriculars?
I can go. I think a lot of us here were involved in like a bunch of different things. Like I personally was in like 12 different clubs. But I think like there's that misconception that like you have to do everything. But I think now, like having graduated and looking back, I'm like, why did I do all of that? Like I feel like some advice could be like, choose like 1 or 2 clubs and just give them your all. Or like, you don't have to be doing every single thing just to like feel at home. Like, again, you can find your little niche, your interest and all that. And there's something for everybody. Like Brooke said, there's like, what, 200 or so clubs or,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'd like to hear a little bit more about your time off campus. How did you guys take advantage of being at the apex of 3 different towns, Bloomfield, West Hartford, and Hartford? Hartford being centered right in between New York City and Boston, right in between mountains and the ocean. How did you guys take advantage of that?
There are probably better examples, but I definitely have to tell the story of the like 1 o'clock in the morning trip my friends and I took using a campus zip car to Boston just to get insomnia cookies. So we definitely took advantage of being so close to both New York and Boston. Great times.
You just have to drive to stores for those now. Maybe they're even closer.
Yeah, this is true.
Right. Anyone else?
So again, dating myself here, but does UHart still do the shuttle?
Yep.
Where they would take you out into town?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's still going on? Oh, that was
Yeah.
popping. Okay, so every weekend I would get on that shuttle. So those of us that didn't have cars, UHart had a shuttle that would take you around West Hartford into the mall, like take you off campus. West Hartford Center has a slew of restaurants, and I just ate my way through town because I wasn't from town. I was from Brooklyn, and all I wanted was food, right? So I got on the shuttle. I did my shopping. I went out with friends. I socialized. I went to Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory is still there.
It is.
There was a sushi restaurant across the street that's not there anymore called Umi's. There was a paint and sip. So all over West Hartford Center, there are these amazing places that you can go and have a great time and spend a bunch of money. And the shuttle goes until like 10 o'clock or something, or even later on the weekends. So you're not rushed. Like you can get back and not get stranded, right? And then if you wanted to go somewhere further than that, you would just go right to the Amtrak, which is, a few minutes away downtown, and you'd be able to be in New York in, no time. So UHart helps you make the best of it. And they want you to venture out, and they will enable you to venture out. So grab some friends, hop on the shuttle. The shuttle's actually really nice. As far as I remember, the seats were nice. It was a comfortable bus. It was air conditioned or, heated, depending on what type of year. And depending on which driver you got, the music was popping. So, go out and have a good time. They encourage it.
It's a great example. Anyone else?
My example is a little more on the business side, I think. I really took advantage of being in Hartford, which is a big city, internship-wise. So I started my sophomore year and I interned through my whole undergrad experience. And I started at iHeartRadio in radio, doing, backstage at concerts with Jason Derulo, which was a big thing when I was young. And then I ended up going from there to working at NBC Connecticut, the TV station. And that's where I actually started my career once I graduated, after interning there for a few years. But I feel really fortunate to have been in Hartford, which is such a large city, which has these big businesses and business experiences. Especially being a kid in music school, I mean, you have all this entertainment right around you. On the business perspective and work perspective. So that was really great to start my career with all these connections because of where I was studying. So I definitely appreciated that about Hartford.
It is so close. There's just so many opportunities to be working within a lot of different industries. People assume that Hartford is all about financial services and insurance, but now you have a lot of insurtech and fintech, a lot of innovation happening. Infosys with a Hartford hub now. Really great opportunities. I see some questions about whether or not any of you did an independent study or a capstone project as part of your major. Can anyone speak to that? Anyone? Nicole, is that you?
Yeah, I did a capstone. I was typing an answer about study abroad because I did that too. So I did a junior capstone and a senior capstone. The junior capstone was because I was studying abroad, and that was a component for that program.
Right, tie them together.
And then the senior capstone. So I've done them twice. Essentially, you'll get a professor who is sort of like your personal advisor for your capstone. That's the person you're going to go to when you're struggling, when you hit a roadblock, when the research is just going in loops and it's not making sense. And they will help you through it and talk you off a ledge and turn your final product into something amazing. It's basically a thesis, and it's your own work, and the really good ones can get published, which is great. Study abroad, from what I recall, University of Hartford partners with different study abroad organizations. I went to Morocco junior year with a group called SIT. And at the time, all of my scholarship money that I had going to Hartford, I was able to apply to the study abroad semester. So they take away your room and board fees because you're not paying room and board because you're not there. And then all of your academic scholarships or what have you apply to your study abroad. And really all you're going to have to pay for, assuming you had a full academic scholarship, would be your flight or any difference. And your advisor is still there for you. You still have access to all of your advisors and professors back home. You can email them anytime. You still have access to the library. You still have access to all of the resources that you get set up with on your first day for research when you're abroad. You still have access to your university health insurance. All of that still applies. The only thing that changes is the location under your feet, and you have the opportunity to see this whole new place. Some of the programs will have a language component requirement, meaning if you're thinking of going abroad, there should be a little bit of planning that goes into this, because you may have to take a language course. So in Morocco, there were two options. You could take French or you could take Arabic. Not every program will require it. SIT didn't. That's why I went that way. So just so you know, there's options. There was a study abroad office back in the day, if that still exists.
It does.
Okay, great. So that's good. There you go. And your student advisor, your academic advisor, works in tandem with whoever you're asking questions to. So if you have questions about how to apply credits, which credits do I take, how do I make this work, all those people are available. Your advisor, the study abroad office, everyone. And you can make a study abroad semester or even 2 semesters in some cases. I highly recommend it. I think everybody should go abroad if they have the opportunity. Go for it. It's an amazing experience.
Thanks, Nicole. Karishma, you also have a study abroad experience too, right?
Yeah, so I wanted to do a full semester, but like with all the majors and minors and all that clubs, I just didn't want to like leave for that whole semester. So I did my senior year have the opportunity to take a class on Cuba. So like we would all show up to the class and learn about Cuban culture and all of that. And then on spring break, the professor took us to Cuba. So like that was such a unique experience. We were there for a week. It was just me and 7 other students, and we stayed with Cuban families and really got to experience the culture and all that. It was probably one of the coolest experiences I ever got at UHart. So again, if you don't really want to commit to a full semester, there's lots of like short-term options like that, I believe, and different like experiences. I think there might be like a freshman summer study abroad or something like that. So I think there's really something for everybody in that aspect.
There is, and fantastic information again on hartford.edu. You can look up, you can research study abroad, travel abroad, and we have lots of great information there. Can anyone talk to me about your decision to stay on after you graduated into a graduate program? I know, Gabby, yours was kind of a built-in. The doctoral program was somewhat built in, but anyone else want to speak with us about why you chose to stick around Hartford for your graduate program too?
So I just kind of didn't want to leave, honestly. Like I didn't know, I wasn't sure. Like, I mean, I was looking at jobs and all of that, but I was like, like I feel like I'm not done here, or I feel like I'm not done with my education. I did apply to a few other schools. And then I found out about the accelerated master's program. And so I'd been looking at master's programs like the end of my junior year. And then I applied to the UHart's program, and I was able to actually do it in 1 year because I was able to take classes as a senior. So technically my communications program was a 5-year program, but it was just really nice to like, be done with grad school and have a master's like in just 1 year after getting my bachelor's. And they made it super easy. Like, so I still had the same advisor and some of the same professors just teaching at the graduate level. And then some of my credits from undergrad transferred to the graduate level. So I could skip some of the classes. So that was really nice too. So it was kind of just like an incentive to stay, take less classes, and still be familiar with UHart. And I got to stay in graduate housing. Gabby and I were in the graduate housing at the Hartford Women's College. So that was fun. And yeah, it was just nice to, again, have that shortened option for grad school.
They're upgrading graduate housing and it's going to be over in the Village. Yes. So you'll have to come and visit that, Krishma. You can compare notes. Anyone else want to comment on your MBA, your graduate school program? No pressure. I have a few other questions. Okay.
Do you want me to jump in there? I had a break between my undergrad and my master's, which is in business, my MBA at the Barney School. I, again, went to school thinking that I was going to be a performing musician. And then I found my way at NBC Connecticut. What I wanted to do with my life was set up concerts, be on the production side of that experience. And that's why I started at NBC Connecticut. And they actually saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, which was sales. They put me through this sales program where I got to study in LA and Miami and New York at 30 Rock. And that pushed me into the business world. And then from there, I started in marketing as well. And before I knew it, I was working in the health insurance world, running a marketing department with a music degree. And I said, I should probably go back and do my MBA while I can. And something that was really advantageous for me for going back to UHart was as an alum, I didn't have to take a GRE or any sort of a test to get in. Instead, I had an interview. And the reason that was so advantageous for me is because I went to school to be a musician. So that's a majority of my education versus having the traditional business background to get into business school. So I was always very self-conscious about going back. And I was very appreciative of that opportunity because that got my foot back in the door. And then I really built up a lot of momentum while I was in business school. And it's funny because I was in marketing and I learned marketing on my feet in the real world. And I'm sitting in my first class, which is marketing. And I'm like, this is going to be easy breezy. And then I open the book and I'm like, I have no idea what any of this means. So it's definitely good to have both sides of an education, in person and in the book. But I'm really excited or thankful for the opportunity to go back and get my master's for sure at UHart.
Well, Juliana, you talk about kind of that music management and that jazz, that voice performance aspect, which I'm always so surprised. We have a phenomenal ceramics program, but Sam, you also participated in a program that I think is phenomenal and one of the only ones in the country, which is the acoustics program. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit about your experience marrying engineering and the acoustics program and how that played a role in you landing a job at Northrop Grumman?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so at University of Hartford, you study mechanical engineering and I'm sure other majors as well. You have the option of picking a concentration, and there are a few options. And I chose acoustics, which is actually an extremely unique program at the undergraduate level. Acoustics is pretty specific and is usually like a graduate focus. So that's pretty much the only. Not the only, but that was definitely the reason why I came to the University of Hartford. And yeah, that specialization probably helped me apply for the jobs that I wanted. So like my second internship, I applied to a structural dynamics internship at NASA Glenn Research Center, which was a phenomenal experience. And that internship was only available for undergrad students, and it was an acoustics specific internship. So I pretty much had the leg up for anyone who applied, which probably helped me get it. So that was extremely useful. And as an engineer, you can decide to be super general and have a lot of different, be involved in a lot of different fields, or you can go like super specialized. I personally chose to go super specialized, but you can go either way. But yeah, all my internships were all acoustics related and spacecraft architecture and HVAC. And then I did graduate school in acoustics related, and now I have a full-time job in acoustics related. So it was definitely the right choice for me, and that helped me really dive into my field.
Sam, someone asked a question actually about the architecture program. Did you know anybody as a CETA student? Did you know anybody who was part of the architecture program? Or did you have to take any classes in architecture?
So I did know a couple of students in the architecture program, and as a mechanical engineer with an acoustics concentration, I did have a couple architecture related classes, which were all acoustics related. So it's pretty specific, like how do you design a concert hall or conference room to have great acoustics.
Yeah. They have great internships as part of the acoustics program. And you're right, it's always about something really cool about space and the intersection with architecture. So I can see how that would be an interesting intersection for you. I think we have a few people who are going to chime in on that answer too. Question here is, what's the social scene like for arts and cultural activities? Maybe we can speak to that a little about on campus as well as off campus, given Hartford's kind of robust arts and culture scene. Anyone want to share your experience with that? When I first moved here, I was floored by the breadth of opportunities to go see plays, musicals, live music, between the Bushnell and the Hartford stage. There were quite a few jazz clubs back in the day. I just always thought it was terrific that Hartford was supportive of that, and that a lot of professors at the Hart School were actually very active in productions, in bands, you name it. And for a long time, a lot of our students would be out and about in the community playing events, bar mitzvahs, weddings, you name it. So there was a real opportunity for hands-on. And like I said earlier, New York, Providence, Boston, the Cape, Provincetown were so many places where our students could find themselves going to partake in those activities or just kind of taking them in. So I know that Nora's going to answer a little more on that, but any of you want to talk about how you might have used Hartford, Connecticut, the region to soak in some arts and culture?
I mean, I definitely spent a lot of time at the Wadsworth Atheneum or the New Britain Museum of American Art, just going to events like that, and then, or well, museums like that. And then even just Hartford is just so like culturally rich. There's 17 neighborhoods with people of all backgrounds. So there's always different types of events going on. There's different restaurants you can try out to try different foods, things like that. So yeah, you just kind of have to like look online. There's always something going on. I personally, right now, I live downtown in Hartford, so it's kind of easy to access that stuff. But I think now UHart students have even more access to that stuff just because things are so widely published. The city's really doing a good job. They're trying to revamp everything. So you're going to see a lot of events and like art spaces opening up as, you know, Connecticut opens up after COVID. So I think, again, it's just really up and coming.
A lot of us are looking forward to the return of salsa dancing on Pratt Street on Fridays. That will be really great. So that was a lot of fun. And we do, like you heard Nicole talk about the shuttles. When there are a lot of activities and there are a lot of students interested, we do try and be very supportive of that. We know a lot of people can Uber, but we want to make sure that students have access to shuttles that we run on the regular. Thanks for reminding us about the New Britain Museum of American Art and the Wadsworth. So I know we only have about 15 minutes left. And I'd like to kind of open it up to the alums to share with you ultimately, like, why'd you choose the University of Hartford? It sounds like you are all incredibly talented, involved, proactive, go-getters. What is it about the University of Hartford that made you say, yeah, that's the place for me. I'm going to go there?
Two things. I see a question and I'm not sure what they mean. So I'd like us to address it at some point. It says, would it be risky to go off to UHart? We can get a little clarification on what they mean. I think we ought to address it. As far as what made me go to UHart, there's not a lot of institutions that really let you take charge and have a sense of autonomy about what you're interested in, about yourself and what you want to do, let alone enable you to do those things. It's usually the institution comes with some sort of curriculum. You do whatever it is they tell you to do. You take the prescriptive credits they tell you to take in the bulletin your first year, and God forbid you have an opinion. Right? At least that's how my law school was, and it was an awful experience. Did it, finished it, but it's, you know, it made me run back to UHart. Like, I've missed you so much. The university really believes in what it's doing, and it believes in empowering the student body, and it believes in reform when it needs to, right? And so it's a university that's not too proud to say when it isn't quite right and when it needs to recalibrate. And often it will ask its student body and ask its alumni, hey, let's reset here when things aren't, when things aren't up to snuff. And that's something that I appreciate more as an alumni than I ever realized as a student, something I took for granted as a student, frankly. So the university wants you to really pursue your passion and then bring that back. Once you figure that out and you come back as your whole self, bring that back to the university and share it with the community. They really want that. They empower everybody to do that. And that was true in what they publish. So I'm sure that these students, all of you that we're talking to, have gotten pictures, magazines, swag, mailers, flyers, emails, whatever it is they're doing to get you guys excited these days. For a lot of these schools, those are advertisements, it's marketing. For this school, it's pretty true to the description. So you can believe what's on the paper, all those smiling faces. Some of them I'm sure are our faces, and they're not lying, right? That's a big deal. A school that stays true to whatever is in their marketing tools, that's real, and it's also really rare.
Thanks. That's a nice thing for you to say. We believe it's a real special place too. Who else would like to chime in about why you chose the University of Hartford? Juliana?
Like I said, I went to the music school. I did not tour or anything. I got in, I sent my money in, and I went to the music school. The Hart School of Music is a world-renowned institution. You can go to New York, you can go to China and say, I went to the Hart School to musician, and they will know what the Hart School is. A lot of my peers came from Australia, China, London, France, and studied their whole lives up until that point to go to the Hart School. So I don't know if we have any musicians on here, but Hartford is a really, really creative, artistic, awesome place to be. The student body, between the art school and music worldwide, world renowned. And it's insane to think that an institution like that is right here in Hartford locally. But that's why I chose the University of Hartford. I loved it so much. I have no regrets. And then even, going for music and then eventually honing in on business, I, didn't think to go anywhere else. I went right back to University of Hartford to kind of really hone in on my craft, which was actually business. So if there's anyone who has any sort of thoughts about art or music and wants to explore that creative side as a formal education, I highly, highly recommend the University of Hartford.
I was talking and unmuted myself. Sorry about that. Here we go. From a healthcare perspective, we have a new healthcare and innovation building opening up on campus here in the fall. It is gorgeous, not open yet, but boy, it's going to be spectacular. Gabby, would you mind speaking to healthcare and why you chose to go to Hartford and major in the ENHP school?
One, I'm so jealous that you guys get the new building. That's what we always wanted. And we were so happy when we found out that you guys are finally going to get it. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be exactly what you need. And they took all of our alumni opinions and they put everything into it. So you guys are going to love it. Whatever you choose to do, if you want to go, go through just health sciences to try to go into med school. If you want to be a PA, physical therapy, there's so many different things in our school, which is really cool. I chose this school because it was one of the few that were in Connecticut. I wanted to stay close. I didn't want to stay too close though. I'm from Milford, Connecticut. So I'm right between, there's only, the only other schools besides ours is Quinnipiac, Sacred Heart, and UConn. I wanted to be far enough from Milford because Quinnipiac and Sacred Heart, my parents told me to commute and I wanted the college experience. So, and then I picked UHart over UConn because I wanted the smaller school experience. I didn't want to feel like it was just a number to everybody. Like I wanted to actually get to know people instead of just being surrounded by so many people. And it was nice because I was able to, like I said before, I was able to get really involved on campus and actually get to know people and be able to say hi to people on campus instead of just seeing a billion people. I didn't know who they were. Also, the program was fantastic. What's really cool is a lot of PT programs, they do not give this opportunity yet. But what Hartford does and a couple others is that if you keep up your grades when you get into the program your freshman year, you just have to keep up your grades and you'll go right into grad school. You don't have to do the GRE, you don't have to go through the resume, you don't have to go through the full interview process, which half of my classmates ended up doing, the ones in my grad school program, because we actually had a good amount that followed through. It was probably half were from Hartford from undergrad that were in my program, and then half were from outside. And all the people that came from outside, they really wish that they did what we did because it saved them, because we saved a lot of money doing that. I already knew the environment, so there was really no change. I graduated 2 weeks later, started grad school. So it was a very easy change into it. And it's just like, it was nice just knowing that UHart was my home and I was continuing with my home. And like I said, I'm excited for you guys. You guys are going to have a great new building. I'm very jealous. That's why I picked Hartford, and that's why the program is really good, whatever you choose in the medical field.
Go ahead, Jason.
Brooke, I just wanted to accentuate that point that Gabby just made. I think no matter what you're studying at this school, easily one of the biggest benefits are the class sizes, right? I'm originally from the DC metropolitan area, so I was traveling pretty far out of state to come to UHart. And, it was sort of the typical standard that most people who went to my school would end up somewhere like University of Maryland College Park, right? And, I didn't know what I was going to experience in college quite yet. I had an idea, right? But I knew that I did not want to sit in a lecture hall with thousands of kids where I was going to be number 542 and not Jay Baker, right? And that's definitely one of the things I got from UHart, always having that personal connection with the professor. They know your name, right? Like you're not just some number floating on a page to them that they're giving a grade to. So definitely something to consider.
Jay, thanks for sharing that. It also reminds me that in addition to getting to know your professors and what they know and having them impart their expertise, we have a lot of industry experts come into the classrooms. That's going to happen in the new Healthcare Innovation Building. It happens in CETA all the time. We have people who are exploring sensors at Hartford Steam Boiler, and they're working with student groups and student teams about how do we make sensors work. And the students are the ones who are coming up with those projects and those answers. So new classrooms are great. The expertise of the faculty is phenomenal, and the constant and robust input of industry makes all the difference in that small environment that you spoke to, Jay. So thank you for reminding me of that. It's 7:56, and I think unless Julia has any other questions that she wants to make sure we cover, I think that we're going to wrap up here. Julia, do you have any other things you want us to talk about?
I think that we're good. I think the Q&A section has kind of slowed down a little bit. If anyone has any burning last minute questions, feel free to ask it now, but I think we're pretty good.
Okay.
Covered everything.
Thank you to all of our alums for taking time out of your day to share your experiences with hopefully what will become new Hawks come the fall. Julia, thank you, and Nora for organizing this event and allowing me to be a part of it. You can find me on our website too if you have any other questions about career and how that works at the University of Hartford. That's hartford.edu/career. Happy to be in touch with you about what that means. And Nora has just posted some details in the chat about accepted students details coming up and events. So with that, I want to thank you all for being on. and wishing everyone a really happy spring. Go enjoy the nice warm weather.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.